Okay, so welcome everyone. So today we are going to discuss this paper. Okay, and in this paper, let's begin with question number one first of all. And today, students, what I'm going to do is we are going to discuss these questions very conceptually. So pay attention to this video, and with each question, you're going to learn something. Okay, so even doing these questions will give you so much strength and so much concepts in these two chapters, that is collisions and surface tension. Then that is not even possible by studying the whole chapter, right? So pay attention to this video, this is really very important. So a moving body collides elastically with another body. Okay, so this is a special case. What is that special case? If a body of mass m1 and a body of mass m2 and e. Okay, so special cases is m1 m2 are equal and e is 1. That means collision is elastic and bodies are of same mass or identical, then we can say v1 is equals to u2 and v2 is equals to u1. Technically their velocities are exchanged. Okay, and so a moving body collides elastically with another body of equal mass at rest. Then first of all, this is the special case. Second thing, momentum is conserved, momentum is constant in any kind of collision. Okay, remember this thing. Third is, in elastic collision only kinetic energy is also conserved. In only elastic collision kinetic energy is also constant. So we can say a part of energy is dissipated as heat. No, the moving mass transfers whole of its energy to the mass at rest. अच्छा ये भी बात सही. This is also a good thing. Here I can say that if we can say u2 is 0 and u1 is suppose u, so v2 will become u and v1 will become 0. That means this first mass has transferred its complete energy to the second mass, right? Now, a ball of mass small m approaches a ball of mass capital M, another case. This is a special case where the formula is when capital M, another mass, is far greater than the first mass. Okay, let's say that m1 is equals to small m and m2 is equals to capital M. Then remember, v1 is equals to u2 plus e times u2, sorry, u2 minus u1. Got it? So we can put the values. What is u2? See, the wall is coming in this direction with 1 meter per second. So it is minus 1 plus elastic collision. So E is 1 and the ball is going with 4 meter per second. So it is positive. So it is minus 1 minus 4. So what is the answer? You will say, sir, it is minus 1 minus 5, that is minus 6 meters per second. That means after the collision the ball will go back with 6 meters per second. Is it clear? Yes, 6 meters per second away from the ball. Two spheres A and B collide. If momentum of A is doubled in the collision, then see, this might give you a little shock. What to do? Nothing is given, the initial velocity is not given. So sometimes when these kind of questions are asked where the data is very less, what you do is first read all the four options. They might not be asking you very difficult thing, they might be asking you a very simple concept. Okay, so let's read it. The initial momentum of body A and B are equal. That is wrong, because they have not mentioned anything like that. Okay, the initial momentum of A is greater than that of B. That is also not given. The initial momentum of B is double that of A. That can also be not found right now. Total momentum of A and B is constant. Yes, it is constant, no matter what kind of collision it is. So in this question, what a normal person, what a normal student will do, he will try to figure out the relationship between initial momentum. That means he will try to figure out P1 and P2, relationship between M1 U1 and M2 U2, because he knows that M1 V1 is twice M1 U1 magnitude wise, right? He knows this thing. So this is given in the question. So you might waste your time in finding these things. Other and the fourth option is simply given that total momentum A and B is constant. So this is a really pathetic question. Given something else and answer is something different. That means I thought they are asking something very brilliant here. This is a wonderful question, I thought like that. But at the end I found, in Hindi we call it khoda pahad nikla chuha. So you dug a mountain and you found a mice. It's like that only. So simple question, I thought it's a good question. Anyways, a perfectly elastic collision. I told you that the velocities are exchanged when masses are equal. That means when you two identical balls collide, that suppose it is moving with v and it is at rest. So what will happen after collision? This will move with v and this will become at rest. Suppose this is A and this is B. So what will happen after collision? B will move like this and A will be at rest. So they exchange their velocity, same thing. So first, when P1 and P2 collide, P1 stops, its velocity becomes 0 and it moves with V. Then it collides with it stops and it starts moving with V. Then P3 collides with P4. Then what will happen? It will stop and finally it will move with V. So this is the final condition. Can you see that? So finally 0, 0, 0 and V. So complete momentum of this ball is transferred to the last ball. Okay, this is a wonderful question. Third option is right. Now two perfectly. Can you see that only these two special cases are coming so many times? So in collision, the special case, what are the special cases? The special cases are that if m1 and m2 are same and collision is elastic, they will exchange their velocities. What is the second special case? Second special case is if one mass is very heavy, its velocity will not change and velocity of the smaller mass will be given by this formula. And what is v2? V2 will remain equal to u2. Do you remember this thing? So this is the special case when small m is far less than capital M. This was the second special case. First special case, you remember that, right? So anyways, let's come back to this question. Two perfectly elastic particles A and B of equal masses traveling along the line with velocities 15 and 10 collide. Simple. So one is traveling with 15, another is traveling with 10. After collision, it will move with 10 and it will move with 15. Why? Because M1 and M2 are same and E is 1. So which option is right? 10 and 15. Okay, a ball of mass small m moving with velocity v collides head-on elastically with another of the same mass but moving with a velocity minus v after collision. Okay, after collision, then what will it see? Again, a ball of mass m moving with v collides head-on with another ball moving with minus v of same mass elastically. See these two terms, elastically and same mass. After collision, what will happen? Their velocities will exchange. It will become minus v and it will become v. If this is A, this is B, this is A, this is B, A will go back. Both balls come to rest. Both of them move at right angles. One of the balls comes to rest, another ball travels back with velocity. No. First option is right, that they exchange their velocities. Okay. When a drop splits up into number of drops, then energy is liberated or absorbed. Energy is absorbed. Always remember, the energy of the bigger drop is less than its small drops. Suppose this bigger drop of radius capital R breaks into small drops, n drops of radius small r, then the energy of this bigger drop is always lesser than the energy of the small drops. Do you understand? So let me write here, energy of bigger drop is less than its small segments or whatever it is. Okay, so obviously if its energy is less, then it has to absorb some energy. So bigger drop plus some energy or heat, whatever it absorbs, plus some energy in the form of heat, will split into small droplets. Got it? Now square wire frame of side length L is dipped in a liquid. On taking out, the membrane is formed. Okay, what is the force? Force is surface tension into total length. Okay, now you tell me, what is the total length here? A square frame of side L is dipped in liquid. On taking out, a membrane is formed. If the surface tension of the liquid is T, the force acting on the frame will be. See, it's very simple. Dipped in a liquid, a square frame. So when it is dipped in a liquid now, so in a square frame, there are two layers formed. Okay, two layers are formed. Can you see that? Because of which total length will be T into 4L is parameter into 2, because it is two layers will be formed here. Okay, so F will be 8TL. A wire of length L meters made of a material of specific gravity rho is floating horizontally on the surface of water. If it is not wet by water, the maximum radius of the wire up to which it can continue to float is. Okay, see, a wire of length L. So there is a wire whose length is L, made of a material of specific gravity. Okay, it's floating horizontally like this on the surface of water. If not wet by water, that means it is not penetrating into the water. That means whatever its weight is definitely balanced by surface tension force. Let's call it Fs. Is definitely balanced by surface tension force. So surface tension force is equals to tension into effective or projected length. So projected length will be, it will, if you give a top view, it will look like this, right? Yes or no? So its effective length will be L and L, that is 2L. So you will say T into 2L is equals to its surface tension force. Now what is the weight? Weight of the, okay, what is the weight of this wire? You will say, sir, weight of this wire is simple, density into volume. Volume is how much? What is the volume of this wire? Can you tell me? Area into length, right? Area is pi r square into L into G is the total weight. Do you understand? So you have to equate them and get the answer. What they want is maximum radius of the wire. So R we have to figure out. I guess we can do it. We can say D into pi r square into L into G is equals to 2TL, right? L and L gets cancelled. Okay, D is density, that is rho given here also. So R will be 2T by pi rho G under root. Correct? First option is correct. Did you understand? So how to find out the surface tension force and how to find out the weight of the rod, and we have to balance these two forces. That is why it is not getting wet, it is not going inside the liquid surface. A thin wire of a thin wire ring of radius rests on a flat on a surface of a liquid. Okay, simple, it's a ring. So it has got two surfaces, one is inner surface, another one is outer surface, right? So the surface tension force will act on both the surfaces, inner as well as outer. Again, surface tension force will be T into 2 into 2 pi r. So surface tension force will become T into 4 pi r. This is equation number 1. Okay, now force is given in order to pull it. The surface tension is, so they have given that the force which is required to pull it upwards is 31.4 into 10 power minus 3 is equals to T into 4 into 3.14 into radius is 2.5 centimeter, right? So it is very simple, it is 1 and it is 10. Now 2.5 into 4 is 10, so it will also get cancelled. So tension becomes 10 to the power minus 3 into 100. That is second option is correct. Got it? Now a liquid drop of diameter d breaks up into 27 drops. Find the resultant change in energy. Change in energy. See, first of all, according to volume conservation, we will say 4 by 3 pi, hang on a second students. So 4 by 3 pi r cube. Okay, let's deal with capital R. Right now let me write like this only, is equals to 27 into 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this is from volume conservation. So we can say R is equals to 3 times small r. This is equation number 1. Now find the resultant change in energy. I told you that the bigger drop has lesser energy. Okay, so what is surface energy of small drops? It will be, let's say E1. It is 27 droplets into energy of one drop is what? Energy of one drop I'm asking. Liquid drop. How much is that? You will say surface tension into surface area, 4 pi r squared. Energy of the bigger drop is how much? T into 4 pi capital R square. Now we have to answer in capital R. So 27 into T into 4 pi into R by 3 whole square. That is 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. So E1 minus E2 will be 9 minus, so it will be 9 into T into 4 pi R square minus T into 4 pi R square. So it will be how much? It will become 8 into T into 4 pi. Now what is R? R is diameter by 2 whole square. So it will be 8 T pi D square. Just hang on a minute. This is the calculation error. So it is R by 9. So it will be 3. Now 3 minus 1 is 2. So answer is 2 TD pi square. So this is change in energy. Which option is right? First option is right. Okay students, understood? Simple. So what you do? First you do the volume conservation, right? Through that volume conservation you find a relationship between capital R and small r. Then what is the formula of energy? Surface energy formula is surface tension into surface area, right? So energy is tension into area for a liquid is how much? 4 pi r square, right? Yes, like this. So we have used this formula and solved the question. Now radius of a soap bubble is increased from r to 2r. Work done in the process in terms of surface tension. Same thing, same thing. What is initial energy? Surface tension is S into 4 pi r square, but it is a soap bubble. So double area we have to take. Okay. And E2 will be how much? S into 4 pi into 2r whole square into 2. So E2 minus E1 will be the work done. So it will be 4 pi r square S. Let's take it out common. 2 to the 4 to the 8 minus 2. 2 to the 4 to the 8 minus 2, that is 6. 4 is 24 pi r square S. Okay students, fantastic, got it. So very carefully you do this, otherwise what you can do is you can write completely 8 pi r square S, and this is 432 pi r square S, and then you can subtract 32 minus 8 is 24. Got it? But don't forget that it's a soap bubble, because this is the point where you will forget things and make mistakes. It's a soap bubble, so you have to take surface energy as S into 2 times area. Okay, because soap bubble has got 2 layers. The total energy of a free surface of a liquid drop is 2 pi times the surface tension. Okay, what is the total energy of a liquid drop? You will say the total energy of a liquid drop is S into 4 pi r square. Now this is what? 2 pi times, okay, its surface tension. Okay, cancelled, cancelled, 1's are 2's are. So r square is 1 by 2, r is 1 by root 2, right? And what is diameter? Diameter is 2r, that is 2 into 1 by root 2, that is root 2. Got it? Okay, so you can say work done will be, this energy is greater, so E2 minus E1. So E2 is how much? Surface tension into 2 into 10 into 6. Convert centimeter square into meter square also, minus S into 2 into 8 into 3.75 into 10 to the power minus 4 converted into meter square as well. This will be equals to this 2 into 10 to the power, so 2 into 10 to the power minus 4 S common, 2 into 10 into 6 into 10 to the power minus 4 minus 2 into 8 into 3.75. So this is how you completely solve it and get the answer. This is the answer, right? Now, which graph represents? Remember, it is the second graph. Why? Because S is equals to S naught into 1 minus alpha delta T, right? So this is the formula for surface tension. For very low temperature ranges, surface tension reduces linearly with increase in temperature. Okay. Now, the net force for a surface molecule, we all know that it experiences a net downward force and its potential energy is higher. So net downward force and potential energy is higher, so B and D, fourth option, right? When a molecule is on the surface, it experiences a net downward force and it has higher potential energy because of the surface energy. Because of the surface tension, it has got some surface energy. That is why it has relatively higher potential energy as compared to other molecules which are inside the liquid. Now this is one of the very nice question. Several spherical drops of a liquid of density small d, radius small r, coalesce to form a single drop of radius capital R. If all the energy released is converted into kinetic energy, then the velocity acquired by the drop is. First of all, I told you the energy of the bigger drop is lesser. So let's write. First of all, let me write down the relationship between them. So what is the relationship? And this question is going to take up little space, so I'm going to write it very in a congested manner, so bear with me. Now, first of all, volume conservation we will say that n into 4 by 3 pi r cube is equals to 4 by 3 pi times capital R cube. So they will all get cancelled and you will say, sir, n to the power 1 by 3 times small r is equals to capital R. Now this is an important equation. This is equation number 1. Okay, so this is an important equation. Now second, let's talk about what is surface energy. See, surface energy of the bigger drop is S into, or they have used the word T, right? They have used the word T, not S in the question. So you have to be very careful because sometimes they use the word T for tension, sometimes they use the word S for tension, surface tension. So T into area is how much? 4 pi capital R square. And what is the energy of all those drops? So energy of a single drop is this. Okay, energy of a single drop is this. But how many drops we have? N drops, right? Now they are saying all the energy released is converted into kinetic energy, then the velocity acquired by the drop is. So, okay, so several drops are coalescing. So obviously, if several drops will be coalescing, so energy of the final bigger drop is lesser. So the difference has to go somewhere. So that difference goes in the kinetic energy of the bigger drop. Are you understanding? Since the E2 is greater than E1, we know that. So we will say E2 minus E1 will definitely go somewhere. So it goes in kinetic energy of the bigger drop. Do you get it? Now, what is E2? N into T into 4 pi R square minus T into 4 pi capital R square is equals to half into mass is what? Mass is density into volume, 4 by 3 pi R cube, volume into velocity square. Do you understand? So all this 4 pi and 4 pi is gone. So it will be 6 into T by D capital R cube into N R square minus capital R square. Do you understand? Is equals to V square. Got it? Now very carefully we will do it. Very carefully we will say, sir, 60 by D is equals to nr square by capital R cube minus 1 by r is equals to v square. Now let's see first equation. From the first equation, can you see that where, let me write it here, that nr cube is equals to capital R cube, right? This is also one equation, so can we use it here, capital R cube? So I will write that v square is equals to 6t by d into nr square upon n times capital R cube minus 1 by r. So n gets cancelled. So v will be under root 6t by d into 1 by small r minus 1 by capital R. Got it? Yes or no? Okay. So let's move ahead now. Fantastic. So first option. So this was a brilliant question. And can you see that they have asked many questions based on 2 3 concepts. One is directly force of surface tension. Okay. Secondly, surface energy. And third important concept will be excess pressure inside the drop that you have seen in the paper. In the next questions, we'll be dealing with that also. Okay, in the elastic collision of a heavy vehicle moving with a velocity, I told you V2 is equals to U2, it doesn't change. That means it will remain 10 meter per second. But what happens to V1? V1 is U2, right? U2 plus E times U2 minus U1. Now it is an elastic collision, so E is 1 and the particle was at rest, a small particle was at rest. So final velocity of the small particle is u2 plus 1 times u2 minus 0, that is 2u2, which is 20 meters per second. Or you can just remember this thing, that if a very heavy object is coming with a velocity v and a small particle is at rest, so after collision this heavy body continues to move with v and it starts moving with 2v. Remember this case. Okay, this is also a special case from a special case only. So this is already a special case, this formula is already a special case now. So from this formula, this is a special case that you can remember, that if the particle is at rest and the body is coming with some velocity, after collision the heavier body will remain with the same, will go with the same velocity, but the lighter particle will go with double the velocity. So it is 20. Now there's a formula for energy left is equals to m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 whole square times initial energy. So what is given? Initially is 8 minus 2 upon 8 plus 2 whole square times E, that is 6 by 10, 3 by 5 whole square times E, that is 9 by 25 times E. Got it? So I guess it is 0.36 E. Right now 20. A billiard ball moving with velocity collides with another. Okay. Same velocity, same thing. Just now same ball. Both the balls are of equal masses. Billiard balls are identical. So if it is moving with 5 meter per second and it is at rest, after collision, A and B, let's stop. So A will be at rest and B will move with 5 meter per second. What is the problem? Another written change in momentum. See, it is going with initial momentum is mv. Final momentum is minus mv because it comes with the same velocity. So same speed. So what is change in momentum? Minus mv minus mv. That is minus 2 mv. Right? So magnitude is 2 mv. Which of the following statements is correct? Kinetic energy and momentum both are conserved in all type of collisions? No. Total kinetic energy is not conserved, but momentum is conserved in inelastic collisions, right? That's all. Now second statement is right, no need to even read 3 and 4. Now two point masses m1 m2 collide, the ratio of the change in the respective velocities. Oh, see, momentum conservation says m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So we can say that m1 times v1 minus u1 is equals to m2 times u2 minus v2, or I can say minus m2 times v2 minus u2. Now, can you say that it is nothing but change in the velocities? So m1 into delta v1 minus m2 into delta v2. So ratio of their change in velocities is proportional to, so delta v1 upon delta v2 is minus m2 by m1. Third option, or m2 by m1. Got it? Now, collision doesn't require physical contact. Absolutely right, because collision is an event which does not require sometimes even physical contact. Okay, that is important point. You must have studied in the notes, because when I teach, I write this line in the very first page, on the very first page, that a collision doesn't necessarily means that a physical contact should happen between two bodies. Collision can happen without even physical contact. Collision between subatomic particles is elastic. Absolutely right. Collision between electrons, protons, neutrons, all these are elastic collisions. For macroscopic bodies, it is generally inelastic. So I guess all three are correct. For any collision, momentum transfer takes place. In any collision, energy transfer takes place. Impulsive forces are involved in collisions. See, this is right. Energy transfer in any collision, energy transfer takes place. Impulses forces are involved. This is also right. Momentum transfer takes place, but we are not sure of energy transfer always. So that is why this is wrong. If two soap bubbles of different area are connected by a tube, see, this is a very famous question. This is a bigger, this is a smaller. So what is the excess pressure here? Excess pressure here is two soap bubbles. Now it is soap bubbles, so it is 2 into 2t by, let's say, R1, and what is here excess pressure, 4t by R2. Now you see, if R1 is less than R2, so delta P1 is greater than delta P2. That means here the pressure is greater, and air always goes from higher pressure to lower pressure. This is high pressure, this is low pressure. So definitely air flows from smaller bubble to the bigger bubble. Okay. Now the pressure inside two soap bubbles are this. Excess pressure. What is the formula for excess pressure? Delta P is equals to 4T by R. So delta P1 by delta P2 is equals to R2 by R1. So what is this? Delta P1, 1.01 is the inner pressure. So what is the excess pressure? 1.01 minus 1, right? So it is 1.01 minus 1 upon 1.02 minus 1. So it is technically 1 by 2. So the ratio of the respective volume. So what is R1 by R2? You will say 2 is to 1. So their volumes will be obviously R1 cube upon R2 cube, that is 8 is to 1. Okay, because volume is 4 by 3 pi r cube, so 4 by 3 pi will get cancelled, so automatically I have directly written r1 by r2 whole cube. Okay, now a fireman weighing 80 kg slides down a vertical rope. Now a fireman is sliding down, no matter whether slides up or down, the tension due to the friction on the rope, the tension developed on the rope due to the contact between the fireman's hand and the rope is in the upward direction. So even though it is going down or up, doesn't matter. Friction or tension T, which is equal to friction, will act upward. His weight is mg downward, and he is going downward with certain acceleration. So you will say, sir, mg is greater because it is going downward, is equals to ma. Simple. Everything is given. You can find friction force is 720 constant, 8 So it is 800 minus 720 is equals to 80 into A. I suppose answer will be 1 meter per second square. Got it? Now at 29 kg, first of all, in these kind of questions you need to check, because they are asking what is the acceleration. You need to check whether tan theta is greater than mu or not. If tan theta is greater than mu, then block will slide. So first check what is tan 30, 1 by root 3. What is mu? This is tan 30. And what is mu? It is 0.4. Oh, definitely 1 by root 3 is greater than 0.4. So 1.1 by root 3 is even greater than 0.5. Okay, so this is true. That means the block will slide. Now if the block slides, then you will say, sir, we know what is the acceleration. Downward force is mg sine theta, upward force is mu mg cos theta. Okay, so you will say, sir, ma is equals to mg sine theta minus mu mg cos theta. Sorry, got cancelled. A is g times sine theta minus mu cos theta, right? So I guess by solving you can get the answer 1.6. Do you understand? Okay, so they have given you everything, and I hope you can solve it easily. Now a block is resting on a horizontal plane and coefficient of friction between the blocks. See, this block is resting and this is a horizontal plane, right? And this starts moving with velocity bt square. See, if it is moving with velocity bt square, so what is the acceleration of this block? You will say, so dv by dt, it is 2bt, right? Now, but as it moves, who is moving the upper block? Now this is the question. If the lower block is moving due to some force, who is moving the upper block? You will say, sir, friction is going to move the upper block. So acceleration on the upper block is going to be provided by friction, but friction has a limit. Friction is less than equal to FL, right? So you can say MA is less than equal to mu mg. So A is less than equal to mu g. Till then the blocks will move together and it will not slide, right? But if the acceleration is greater than this particular value mu g, then the block will start sliding. So 2bt is less than equal to mu g. So for a time less than equal to mu g by 2b, it will not slide, but after this it will start sliding. So when the time is equal to mu g by 2b, this is the final point after which the block is going to start sliding. Got it? Now a man is holding a block of mass 2 kg against a vertical wall, okay, with a force of 50 newton, right? Oh, so already mg is acting downward. This is normal. Now this is a very nice question. They are asking what force we should apply in the upward direction, let's say F naught, so that it slides up. Now it is sliding up, right? If it is sliding up along with mg downward, there will be friction acting downward or about to slide. That means it is FL. Now this is your external force F and this is your normal. So you will say F naught must be equal to mg plus FL. That means it must be equal to mg plus mu n. That means F naught will be mg plus mu f. Now you put the values and get the answer. Everything is given. Mu is given, m is given, capital F is given, g is given. Everything is given to you. You can solve and get the answer 21.6 Newton. Got it? Oh, one more method without doing anything. You can say, wait. It is 2 kg already given, and you know that F naught is greater than mg because friction will also act. So 2 into 9.8 is 19.6 Newton, right? Mg. And definitely the answer is greater than mg. So this option is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Only correct option is fourth. So without even putting all these nonsense values and everything, you simply check this is not possible, this is not possible, this is not possible, this is the only way, because F naught has to be greater than mg. Okay, an ice cube is kept on an inclined surface. Now here if you see that tan theta is tan 30 degrees, which is 1 by root 3, and mu is also 1 by root 3. So obviously if tan theta equals to mu, block will not slide, and hence acceleration will be 0. Got it? Now starting from rest, a body slides down at 45 degrees inclined plane in twice the time it takes to slide down the same distance in absence of friction. Okay, so suppose it comes down in absence of friction. What is the acceleration? G sine theta. Let's say this length is L. So how much distance it has to come? Ut plus half at square. So half into a is what? Is half a t square, let's say. So what is time? 2l by a under root. Got it? Now we will say t1 by t2 is equals to a2 by a1 under root. Or I can say t1 by t2 whole square is equals to a2 by a1. Now carefully, let's say first time is when it is for a1. Let's say t1 is t and t2 is equals to 2t. That means t1 is equals to t means when it is moving with what acceleration? Without friction. So t1 is the case without friction. So you will say t upon 2t whole square is equals to g sine theta is the acceleration without friction, and when friction comes, then what is the acceleration? That's all. So you will say it is 1 by 4. G will also get cancelled, so it will be simple 1 minus mu by tan theta is equals to 1 by 4. Mu is 3 by 4 tan theta. Okay, tan theta, tan 45 is 1, 3 by 4 is 0.75. Got it? So you just remember that the first case is when it is coming down freely without friction. Second case is when it is coming with friction, right? So a body of mass 10 kg is lying on a rough inclined plane. Pull the body up. Okay, simple. See, if you want to pull the body up, remember mg sine theta along with friction will also act downward because you are trying to pull the body up. That's it. So F will be how much? Mg sine theta. Everything I suppose is given in this question. Got it? 35. A body of mass 2 kg sliding down inclined plane. What is the time taken by the body to reach the ground if the length of the inclined plane? Simple again. Just now I told you L is equals to ut plus half a t square. U is 0 because starts from rest. Length is given. So half a t square. Now what is a? G sine theta minus mu g cos theta into t square. I suppose if you put the values, you can get the answer from here. Got it? Now, the acceleration of the block is simple. It will have two components here. So this will be 50 cos 37 degrees, which is I suppose fx, and 50 sine 37 degrees, which is fy. I guess this will be 40 Newton and this will be 30 Newton. So the thing is, you draw the FED properly. This is 50 Newton downward mg, one normal. Okay, downward is mg, upward is normal, and one more force is upward, that is Fy. So you will say normal plus Fy is equals to mg. So normal is mg minus Fy. Now you will find Fl. Okay, FL is mu into normal, and then you will say, sir, Fx minus FL So Fx minus Fl is equals to ma. So this is how you're going to find the acceleration. Understood? So I made things easy for you. Mg is 50, Fy is 40. So it is, I guess, 50 minus 40 is 10 Newton. Okay. Now mu is 0.5, so it is 5 Newton. So 30 minus 5 is 25 is equals to 5a. I suppose it is 5 meter per second square. Oh, 6. Have I made any mistake? Fx is how much? 50 cos 37. Wait, students. This is, oh, that is the mistake. That is the mistake. Sorry. This is 40 and this is 30. So this is 20 and this is 10. So this is 40 minus 10 is equals to 5a. Hence a is 6 meters per second square. Got it? First option is correct. Okay. Now, the excess pressure inside the first soap bubble is 3 times that inside the second soap bubble. Okay, delta P1 upon delta P2 is equals to 4T by R1 upon 4T by R2. It is R2 by R1. Now they have given excess pressure inside the first soap bubble is 3 times the second soap bubble. So R1 by R2 is 1:3. So for volume, we will do cube. Third option is right. Okay. Now, for this, we have a common formula. 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2 is equals to 1 by R equivalent. Do you understand? So I suppose it is 1 by 4 minus 1 by 5 is equals to 1 by R equivalent. So 5 minus 4 upon 20 is equals to 1 by R equivalent, and R equivalent is 20 centimeter. Got it? So remember this formula, 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. So this is R1, this is R2. R equivalent is this. We can remove the word equivalent. Let's take it as capital R only, because we are not doing equivalent of anything here. Okay, so let's say it is capital R for this. Got it? Now, when a big drop of water is formed with from n small drops, okay, the energy loss is 3e. Okay, that means n small drops combined to give you one single bigger drop. Okay, so let me say, so surface tension into 4 pi r square, this is capital E, and energy loss is 3, that means surface tension into 4 pi small r square into n minus t into 4 pi capital R square is equals to 3e, right? So we can say that, see, it is how much? This is equation number 1 we can use, and we can say n into t into 4 pi small r square is equals to 2e. This is equation number 2. Now let's take the ratio. If you take the ratio of equation 2 upon equation 1, n into t into 4 pi small r square upon t into 4 pi capital R square is 1:2. Okay, then small n is equals to small drop, so in a big drop. Okay, oh, sorry, not 2e, it is 4e, right? Plus 1, na? Plus 1, it is 4e, so it is 1 by 4. It is 4e and it is 1 by 4. So from here, finally you will say small n is equals to capital R square by sorry, 4r square by small r square. Now one more thing, I'm so sorry, it is the ratio is like this, 4 is to 1, sorry, equation 2 upon 1 na? So 4 is to 1. Now a soap bubble of radius 1 centimeter is formed inside soap bubble of radius 2 centimeter. Okay, so one soap bubble, another soap bubble. So excess pressure, see, the radius of another soap bubble which has the same pressure difference. Okay, so another soap bubble which has got the same pressure difference. So you will say, see, when you move outside a soap bubble like this, so pressure drops by 4t by r, right? Or we can simply say, see, if there are two soap bubbles, so what is the excess pressure inside here? What is the excess pressure? You will say, sir, it is 4t by r1 plus 4t by r2. That means excess pressure of this bubble and excess of pressure of this bubble both are added. So this is the final excess pressure completely inside the smaller bubble, which will be equal to 4t by r. Okay, cancelled. So it will be 1 by r will be 1 by r1 plus 1 by r2, and simply you can get the answer. Do you understand? So the radius of has the same pressure difference as that inside is. Okay, so in meter you have to give the answer. So I hope you can do it from here. Is how much? 1 by r is 1 plus 1 by 2, that is 3 by 2. R is 2 by 3 centimeter, that is 0.667 centimeter. So it will be, you know, 6.67 into 10's power minus 3 meter. Okay, so I suppose you got the answer here. If soap bubble of radius 3 centimeter coils with another soap bubble of radius 4 centimeter in vacuum under isothermal conditions. Okay, for isothermal conditions, please remember the formula is this. Whenever soap bubbles coils, so 3 square plus 4 square under root r is. For isothermal conditions, kindly remember this. Okay. Okay, let's begin question number 42, students. Now look here. In question number, 1 minute. Okay, in question number 42, it is simply given that there is an air bubble. First of all, air bubble means excess pressure is 2t by r. This is internal pressure P1. Let's say this is outside pressure P2, and this is atmospheric pressure P0. First of all, what is P2? It is P0 plus rho gh. Now, what is excess pressure? That is P1 minus P2 is equals to 2T by R, because it's an air bubble. Okay, it's air bubble, so there are no two layers. So P1 minus or is equals to 2T by R plus P2. Now what is P2? Can you tell me? It is 2T by R plus rho gh plus P0. Now in the question they have given P1 minus P0 1100, which is 2T by R plus rho gh. Do you understand? So this is given 1100 is equals to 2T by R plus rho gh. Now you put all the values and your answer will come out to be 0.1 meter. Okay, there's not enough space, otherwise I would have solved it. Put the values very carefully and get the right answer. Here we all know that if you stand here, so obviously one pseudo force will be applied here, right? And one normal will be applied here. Friction will be upwards and mg will be downward. So you will say N is equals to pseudo force, and to balance the object mg must be equal to Fl. Now what is Fl? It is mu into N. What is N? Mu into pseudo force. What is pseudo force? M into A. So M into G. So what is the answer? What is G is equals to mu times A. So what is A? G by mu. Got it? Now here same thing, student, just now we have done this kind of question. It is 4 Newton upwards and 1 Newton forward. Mg is 10 Newton downwards. Okay. Now the force of friction acting on the block. Now first of all, let's find out the normal. You will say, sir, mg is equals to fy plus normal. Okay, fy plus normal. So it is 10 minus 4 is equals to normal. So normal is 6 Newton. And what is the value of limiting friction? It is mu into normal. 0.3 into 6, that is 1.8 Newton. And how much forward force you are applying? 1 Newton. So see, maximum value is 1.8 Newton, but you are applying only 1 Newton in the forward direction. So friction will say it will just simply oppose it by 1 Newton. It is not required. See, limiting friction is not required right now, no? Because in order to keep the block relatively at rest to the surface, friction has to be only 1 Newton. That is why it will be 1 Newton, not 1.8. Okay. Is there any mistake here? I cap and 4j cap. This answer is wrong. Students, this answer is wrong. Answer is this. Okay. Minus I cap. Please correct it. The answer is not minus 2.4 I cap. It is minus I cap. Okay. So in the answer key also it will be corrected. In the PPT, I guess some mistake has been made. But it is minus I cap. This is the right answer. Okay. 1 Newton. Anyways, 45. Again, find the friction coefficients at the two contacts of the blocks. If the tension in the string in the figure is 16 Newton and the acceleration of each block is that means this is going down, this is coming here. So this is tension T and this is tension T. It is going down with mg sine theta, and one more force will be mu 2 mg cos theta, and here will be mu 1 mg. That's all. Now what you have to do is, okay, write down this equation for 4 kg block. For 4 kg block you will write mg sine theta minus tension minus friction, that is mu 2 mg cos theta is equals to ma. Now everything is given. Tension is given, a is given, mg, theta, everything is given. For 2 kg block, you will say T minus mu 1 mg is equals to ma. Right? And now you solve these two equations and you definitely get the right answer. Okay. So it is, if velocity, its velocity. Okay, a block is released from the top of an inclined plane. Fantastic. This angle is theta. Its velocity at the bottom of the plane is v. At the bottom of the plane, its velocity is v. And if it is dropped from rough plane, at the bottom its velocity is v by 2. Fantastic. Now, do we have any formula? See, v square is equals to u square plus 2ax. Now initial velocity is 0, so it will be 2 into a into, let's say this length is l. Okay, 2al. So what is v? It is root 2al. So v1 by v2 will be root over a1 by a2, or from here I can say v1 by v2 whole square is equals to a1 by a2. Right? Now what is a1? It is g sine theta. So v by 2 whole square is equals to g sine theta upon, it will be g sine theta minus mu g cos theta. Again you solve it, and you'll get the right answer. Do you understand? So mu will come out to be 3 by 4 tan theta. Yes. Now let's take this question from number 47. It is a little time consuming question, right? So they have given a 40 kg slab rest on a frictionless floor. This is a frictionless floor. A 10 kg block rests on the top of the slab. The static coefficient of friction between the block and the slab is 0.6. Now very carefully you do this question. Mu s is 0.6 and mu k is 0.4. So if the sliding happens, then you have to apply kinetic friction. That is why they have given mu k. This F is 100 Newton, acts up to upon the 10 kg block. The resulting acceleration of the slab will be, what is the resulting acceleration of the slab? Slab means 40 kg slab. Okay, let's figure out what will happen if whether they can move together or not. Let's first of all check whether they can move together or not, because let's say the first condition is if they move together. Suppose friction is enough and if they move together, so common acceleration A, so you will say capital F is equals to 10 plus 40 into A, that is 100 is equals to 50 A, and A will be 2 meter per second square. But if they move it 2 meter per second square, then who is going to provide this acceleration? So let's figure out what is the limiting friction here. FL is equals to mu S into N, that is 0.6 into normal will be 10 into 10 mg. Here is normal, here is 100 Newton mg, right? So it will take 60 Newton force FL. Now this is gonna provide 40 into, okay, just wait. Now let us check. Let's draw the FPD of the lower block. If I look at the slab, so friction is gonna provide the necessary acceleration. So what is the requirement? 40 into 2, that is 80 Newton. Oh god. So the requirement of friction is 80 Newton, but the maximum availability that we have is 60 Newton. That means our assumption is wrong, and these two blocks are not moving together. They are not moving together. That means they are sliding. So if they are sliding, then on the lower block only one friction is acting, that is kinetic friction. And what is kinetic friction? So this is gonna provide 40 into A. And what is kinetic friction? You tell me. 0.4 into 10 into 10 is equals to 40 into A. I suppose A comes out to be 1 meter per second square. Got it? Students, actually there is a little problem in this question. It cannot be completed. Why? Because this force should not be acting here. It is wrong in the diagram. The force should be here, then only it's possible to move both these blocks, otherwise not. Okay, so let me correct this question. So if F acts on lower block, then first of all what we need to do is we need to apply a friction here. That means a limiting friction will act in the backward direction here. Okay, then this is, let's say, FL2, right? FL2. So capital F minus FL2 will be M1 plus M2 into A, because we are assuming that both these blocks are moving together. So what is capital F? We don't know. Minus FL2 is how much? 0.4 into 3 plus 6 into 10 is equals to 9A. So from here we can say 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 4s are 36. So F minus 36 is equals to 9A, right? This is equation number 1. Now if these two blocks are moving together, then the acceleration to the upper block is provided by FL1. And what can be the maximum acceleration provided? Will be M1A. Now what is this? It is mu M1G is equals to M1A, mu1, sorry, mu1. So M1 gets cancelled. So maximum possible acceleration is mu1G, that is 0.5 into 10. So acceleration maximum possible is 5 meter per second square. So if we put it back in the first equation, you will say F is equals to 36 plus 45, that is 81 Newton. Got it? Now the friction force acting on the block at time t equals to 4 seconds. See, this is 40 Newton. And what is limiting value? 0.5 into 10 into 10 is how much? 50 Newton. So obviously it is not required. So it will be static and 40 Newton only, because 50 is the maximum value. But the external force is 40. So friction will say, okay, I will also be 40 and stop the relative motion. Fourth option is correct. Last is, we have done this question in the last paper also. A body sliding down an inclined plane. What they have given is this normal is twice the resultant downward force along the incline. Along the incline, what is the resultant downward force? You will say, sir, mg sine theta minus mu mg cos theta. This is the resultant downward force. So they are saying the normal, which is mg cos theta, is 2 times mg sin theta minus mu mg cos theta, right? Now mg gets cancelled, mu is 1 by 2, so it will be cos theta is equals to 2 sin theta minus cos theta, because mu is 1 by 2. So tan theta, 2 cos theta is 2 sin theta, so tan theta is 1, theta is 45 degrees. Okay, fine, fantastic. So I hope you have understood these things, these solutions. So kindly practice these questions, students. Okay, once again, because this paper was really amazing, and if you practice this paper once again, it will really help you a lot. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you. Tada, bye bye.